What's going on, everyone? My name is UnderTheRadar, and welcome back to the APA. This is going to be the team builder for week number 4 against the West Coast Wingulls and my boy, PolyMac. Now, if you do not know who my boy PolyMac is, I don't know where you've been. I battled him like 4 times in the PPL. 4 times? 3 times. 3 times in PPL, once in TBU. We had a series called Clash of the Drafts going on. Like, this guy is like one of my closest friends in the community. I'm so hyped that I got him into this league and that we're able to play together. So, I'm really excited for this game for a couple different reasons. A, the team that I built is a lot of fun. B, Paul's team is kind of sort of terrifying, and it's my favorite type of team. Least favorite type to face, but my favorite type of team. If you look over here at Paul's team, he has a Mega Swampert, Pelipper, Kingdra, Heliolisk, Tyrantrum, Serperior, Mimikyu, Mienshao, Klefki, Golurk, Swellow. So, let's just go ahead and take a little look at what he has that's really threatening for my team. If you need a reminder of what my team is Rachia, Mew, Infernape, Donphan, Mega Altaria, Empoleon, Alolan Raichu, Tauros, Scolipede, Zerwerk, Licky, and Tangela. Now, this team, it's very threatening for mine because I have to deal with a couple of different aspects. I have to make sure Mimikyu can't sweep me. Being swept by Mimikyu is probably one of my biggest fears, just because it's so easy to prevent. You break its disguise, it's pretty frail on the physical side, and you can kill it. However, with its priority and the fact that he can use it as a Z-mover, it can be very, very hard to not be swept by this thing. So because of that, I'm very scared of getting swept by it, and I'm going to do my best to not get swept by it. Another thing that's really scary for my team is Serperior. It outspeeds my entire team naturally outside of Scarfers. So if he wanted to, he could just run Scarf Leaf Storm and sweep through my team, but if he did that, he wouldn't be able to touch Mega Altaria. Even a +6 Leaf Storm wouldn't be able to KO me. He wouldn't be able to really do a whole lot to my Scolipede unless he was set up to +6 already. He wouldn't be able to do a lot to a couple of things on my team, and also the Infernape. So it means that he won't be able to run Scarfed on his Serperior, so I definitely think that I can use that to my advantage. Swellow is another massive threat to my team. My only flying resist is Empoleon. And Empoleon is highly pressured this game because of the fact that he does have stuff like a Serperior, like a Klefki, like a Heliolisk, and like a Kingdra and a Pelipper that can all wear down my Empoleon pretty easily. So I need to try to play this game a little bit more offensively and not so much defensively. Now, I will warn you guys now, there is one set on my team that I'm still considering changing. I don't know how I feel about it. I'm considering changing it to a completely different mon in general, but I'll talk about it once we get there. I probably won't change it though. And then Mega Swampert is actually a pretty big threat for the team that I built because I'm not bringing a switch into it. As you can see, I don't really have much that switches in well to a Mega Swampert. Like, Adamant Waterfall can 2-hit KO anything that is not a physically defensive Mew. Waterfall, Ice Punch, Earthquake. He could run Waterfall in the rain to do a lot to Tauros. Same thing with Scolipede. I just realized you guys can't see my mouse. Let me go ahead and fix that for you. Bam. Now you guys should be able to see it. But yeah, as I said, Scolipede, Zerwerk, Licky, and Tangela. Tangela is my only real switch in, and believe it or not, I am not bringing a switch in Tangela. So I'm pretty scared for that. However, looking at his team, those are the biggest threats for my team. I definitely think Mega Swampert, Pelipper, Kingdra, Serperior, Mimikyu, and then the last one, it's either going to be Klefki or Swellow, or Kingdra is going to be replaced with Swellow. I definitely think that those are the mons that are most likely to come. I could see Tyrantrum coming, but that means that I wouldn't have to deal with a Rain Mon. I wouldn't have to deal with a Serperior, a Mimikyu, a Swellow, or a Mienshao. Mienshao is also a little bit of a big threat to my team. So there's a bunch of things on his team that he could bring. What I'm most scared of, though, is Serperior, Mimikyu, and Kingdra, and Swellow. Yeah, those are the 4 things I'm most scared of. So when I was building this team, I kind of sort of went as much as I could to try to prevent that. And I noticed one very interesting thing about his team. If you look, Mega Swampert is not a Dark type. Pelipper, Kingdra, Heliolisk, Tyrantrum, Serperior, Mimikyu, Mienshao, Klefki, Golurk, Swellow. He does not have a Dark type. So to kind of sort of take advantage of that, I'm going to start off with this Mew set. This Mew set is Rock Polish, Calm Mind, Roost, and Psychic. What this allows me to do is this allows me to Calm Mind up on Mega Swampert, it allows me to Calm Mind up on KreselleKey, it allows me to do a bunch of different things, and I can actually reverse sweep his entire team. I do need 2 Rock Polishes up to outspeed Timid, Kingdra in the rain. However, after a couple Calm Minds, it doesn't really matter because Hydro Pump in the rain does less than 50% after 2 Calm Minds. So if I'm able to do that, I can Roost stall him until the rain runs out, and then I can Calm Mind up, I can Rock Polish up, and I can beat him 1v1 with that set. This EV spread, you might not think it's very complicated. However, there is a lot that goes into this EV spread. 20 EVs in speed allow me to outspeed an Adamant Mega Swampert. However, I do not think he'll be an Adamant Mega Swampert. I think he'll be Jolly, because that outspeeds Choice Scarfed Infernape. And if he is Jolly, I can easily drink 3 Waterfalls in the rain, meaning he has to flinch me twice in a row in order to beat my Mew 1v1 with his Swampert, which I do not think he'll be able to do. Because I can Rock Polish up on a lot of things, I'm going to prioritize Calm Mind over Rock Polish. Since I can wall Swampert pretty well, I think prioritizing Calm Minds is going to put me in a better position than it would if I went for Rock Polish first, because if he's Jolly, that's a pretty much wasted turn because I won't be able to outspeed that anyway. So setting up Calm Minds is more effective, meaning that later on if he tries to go into Swellow or Kingdra, I can live hits from them and live hits from Mega Swampert and then Rock Polish up and Roost up that way. So this is my massive win con of the game. This can 6-0 him. This EV spread also allows me to live an Adamant Shadow Claw plus Shadow Sneak if he is a Z-move Mimikyu. However, what it does not do, it does not live a Life Orb Shadow Sneak from and Shadow Claw. It also does not live a Z Ghost move. So because of that, it's super important that I make sure I keep my designated Mimikyu checks alive. So I'm pretty excited for this. I'm more so nervous for Mimikyu. And if I do get set up like, so another thing I need to make sure I do is I need to make sure that I don't set up before Mimikyu is, once I have Mimikyu's, Disguise broken. That's what it was. If he still has his Disguise intact, no matter what I do, he'll be able to live a hit, he'll be able to come in, go for Ghost DMZ, and take out my biggest win con. That is a no-no. Or I can set up, have him go into his Mimikyu, blow his Ghost DMZ with Never Ending Nightmare, and then I go into one of my normal types and I deal with it that way. So there is a couple different things that I can do. So it is super important that I make sure I play perfectly around that Mimikyu, otherwise it'll be a massive problem. However, also, one thing that I'm going to use to try to bait out the Mimikyu, because it's one of the best things that he can do for Mimikyu, is this Alolan Raichu set. This Alolan Raichu set is Electric Terrain Raichu. It is to speed tie with, or to outspeed, what is it? Heliolisk. He has a base 109 in Heliolisk, so I guarantee outspeed that. It sucks having to run a 252 spread, but I have to for speed reasons. So let's talk about this spread. As you can see, I'm running Rock Polish on my Mew. Speed boosting is very good against his team. It can beat his own team at its own game. So because of that, I have a way of outspeeding his Rain Core along with nuking it with a bunch of different moves. Electric Terrain is super crucial. More than likely I'm going to lead off with this, because more than likely if he brings KreselleKey, it is going to be his lead. He is going to want to get up rocks. He's going to want to get up spikes turn 1, and then he's going to want to try to deal with me. If he wants to set up spikes turn 1, that is completely fine. I'm going to lead off with this Alolan Raichu. I'm going to set up the Electric Terrain. I'm going to click Psychic after that to scout if he brings in Golurk. If he does not bring Golurk, I can spam Thunderbolt against his team. And Thunderbolt in Electric Terrain with the Wise Glasses, literally 2-hit KOs or OKOs everything on his team, aside from Mega Swampert, meaning I can go for Grass Knot directly after. If he goes into his Mega Swampert trying to think that he can live a hit, like if I go for Thunderbolt, Grass Knot just absolutely obliterates it. So it's super cool. Even if I'm a little scared, like here, I can show you guys the calc. I kind of want to show you guys this versus, what's that thing called? Swampert dash Mega. As you can see, it does 107% minimum. If he is, for whatever reason, a max HP, it does 90%. He cannot afford to be that. He can only be Jolly max speed to outspeed Scarfed Infernape, or Adamant with enough speed for Scarfed... What is it? What was it that he could be? There you go. +1 Altaria, I believe. I think that's what it is. I think it's +1 Altaria. So... he could do that. Do I think that's likely? I do not. I think it's more likely for him to be Jolly max speed to outspeed Infernape. And that means that Grass Knot completely one-shots it. If he does bring Golurk, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click Psychic first, because it does about 45% or so to Golurk, and then I'm going to click Grass Knot. If he tries to pivot around my team and get KreselleKey back in, then I can just spam Psychic against that, and I will eventually get a kill on his team, making it a lot easier for either my Mew to be my main win con and win the game, or I have 3 other win cons right here that can totally just win me the game. So it's super, super important that I lead off with this thing and he leads off with KreselleKey. If he decides to lead off with Mienshao, I'm going to click Psychic, turn 1. I'm not even going to do anything about it. I'm going to click Psychic, turn 1. I do not have another switch into it. I do not have another switch into it. I have my Mew, but if he knocks off my leftovers, that's pretty detrimental, because then I do not live. Waterfall is not a guaranteed 3-hit KO, so it's a roll to 3-hit KO, I believe, or it's a roll to 2-hit KO. I forget what. No, it's a guaranteed 2-hit KO. So it's pretty important that I lead off with this, get up Electric Terrain, and then just start wearing through his team to try to put things in range of Mew, or a little bit of a heat set that I came up with, and that is my Licky. Now, hold on, timeout, pause. This Licky is super, super important, because it guarantees that no matter what his Mimikyu does, guarantees breaks its disguise. Guarantees. 110% breaks the disguise. Why is that important? I can live a +2 play rough from a Mimikyu, and I can guarantee break its sub with an Earthquake, and once I click Earthquake again against it, because I will outspeed it with my speed investment, that guarantees that Iron Head from Tauros guaranteed kills it. Spoiler alert, I'm bringing Iron Head on Tauros. So it's super important that I'm able to outspeed that and break its disguise with this Mon. What this also does is this gives me something that outspeeds Swampert in the rain, and Power Whip Okos it. 100% Okos it. And if he's playing around my Licky, having things take some chip damage, and then I get this in later on in the game, and he's switching into his KreselleKey, attempting to take a Thunder Punch, I can click Earthquake, 2-hit KO it easily, then go into my Alolan Raichu and easily nuke it with a Thunderbolt in the Electric Terrain. It does about 67% if he's Fizz Def. So this alone is a great win con because it outspeeds his Rain Sweepers. It can do a lot of damage to them. It Okos Swampert and Pelipper. I'm pretty sure it Okos Pelipper after Rocks. I think that's what it is. Let me double check. Versus. Yep. Always. It does 86 to 103, so after Stealth Rocks, Pelipper is always in range of Thunder Punch. If he's not fully Fizz Def, guaranteed kills him. So it's very, very nice to be able to just get off that damage, potentially take his Rain out of the running for anything that it could do to me, and that just makes me very happy. This also outspeeds like Choice Banded Tyrantrum, so I can go ahead and get off an Earthquake on it, do a lot of damage to it that way. Put it closer in range to a Psychic from my Alolan Raichu, or a Psychic from my Mew. So this is not, while it's not a win con, it's something that prevents me from getting swept from Mimikyu. It also is something that allows me to weaken his Rain Core, along with some of his other pretty pivotal mons in the game. Then we have another 252. I hate the fact that I have to do this, but we have Rock Climb, Iron Head, Earthquake, Rock Slide. This move right here scares the hell out of me. I do not want to have to rely on Rock Climb hitting. It is 85% accurate. I believe that's less accurate than Draco. Could be wrong. Probably am wrong. I believe Draco's 90. So it's less accurate than Draco, and I'm terrified to try to have to hit Rock Climb potentially. However, again, another mon that guarantees me not to be swept by Mimikyu. That is super important. This is a mon that guarantees outspeed. It guarantees to outspeed Serperior, and Rock Climb OHKOs it. Iron Head does about 50% to it, so if I can get some chip damage off on that, I can take it away pretty easily. And if he brings Mimikyu, Serperior, and Klefki as 3 mons, and then brings Swampert, Pelipper, and Kingdra as the other 3 mons, I can use my Mew and Tauros to take out these 3, and then I can use the rest of my team to handle his Rain Core, and it's not going to be that hard for me to handle his Rain Core offensively. So that's why I really like this Tauros spread. Rock Slide is there just to try to maybe catch the Pelipper on a switch in. I doubt he'll switch in Pelipper to this thing, but it is possible. Rock Climb still does a lot to it. So, also, obvious spread is obvious. It's enough to outspeed Heliolisk. And, yeah, pretty simple EV spread. Again, hate the fact that I have to do this. So, I'm running Jolly Max Attack, Max Speed on this Serperior. I'm running this on a hope that Paul might choke. That's literally about it. So, I have this because if Paul is feeling ballsy, and Paul never feels ballsy, right? Whenever he's speed creeping, he always speed creeps everything he can. He's going to run Timid Max Speed Serperior. However, just in case he doesn't, it's not worth for me to throw just, I believe this takes me down to here, right? No, it takes me to here. That's literally all I gain from it. It's not worth it to me, so I'd rather just do this and go boop, and potentially outspeed a Serperior. The bulk does not help me whatsoever. The speed, however, might if he decides to choke in building. Now we have Poison Jab, Mega Horn, Protect, and Earthquake. I'm bringing an offensive Scolipede yet again. It does a lot of work to his team. Serperior, Mimikyu with its Disguise broken. If I can get up enough speed boost, it can do a lot of damage to his Rain Core. It can do a lot of damage to Klefki if he doesn't have Magnet Rise. Oh, that's another thing with Mew. If I'm playing around a Klefki, I need to scout for Toxic. If he Toxics me, I lose. And that's just the straight up truth of it. If he Toxics my Mew, I lose. So, while I can set up on Mew, whenever he brings in his Klefki on my Mew, I'm going to go directly into my Empoleon to try to absorb the Toxic and scout for it. If he poisons my Empoleon, or I'm sorry, if he paralyzes my Empoleon, it's not the end of the world. So I always can defog with my Empoleon against his team. I can always defog against Pelipper, and I can always defog against his Klefki. So it's very easy for me to defog against his team, so I'm not that worried about it. But anyway, back to this. Protect is there to guarantee the speed boost if he's not scarfed. What's it called? If he's not scarfed Serperior, I can guarantee outspeed it. But the big thing that this does for me is this allows me to potentially pick off a weakened Mon, get 1 speed boost, protect and get a 2nd speed boost, and then I can outspeed his Rain Core, and I can do a lot of damage to it with Mega Horn plus Poison Jab, depending on what it is. So I really, really like this Scolipede. I think it really supports the rest of the team well. I think bringing like 4 win cons is a little much. However, it works. It has worked in literally every single one of my mocks. Every single one of them, it has worked out pretty well. Like it, I got 2 5-0s in one of my mocks. I lost one of them before I put on this Alolan Raichu set. Since I put on this Alolan Raichu set, I think I have won 4 out of the 5 of them. So it does work, and it works out pretty well. Then we have Empoleon, my only bulky mon on the team. Stealth Rocks are somewhat important. Somewhat important. I do not need them up to sweep through his team. I say this because Stealth Rocks does not break the disguise on Mimikyu. Stealth Rocks only does 25% to Pelipper. It does about 12% to Kingdra, and 25% to Swellow. That's it. Like, that's all it really does. That's of notable things. So I do have Stealth Rocks there, so that I'm able to potentially set up Stealth Rocks on Klefki. Once I defog away his spikes, I can set up my Stealth Rocks, and then I can go ahead and I can just click Scald against his team. Pelipper cannot do anything to me. Cannot do anything. And if I burn it, I pretty much am able to go into a bunch of different things. If I'm expecting him to go for Hurricane, or expecting him to go for Scald, or whatever have you, I'm able to go directly into my Raichu, setup. If he thinks that he can just set up spikes against me, I can go directly back into my Raichu, setup. Like, so this thing is pretty much just a bait to get out his fat stuff, and to get some good chip damage off on his walls, mainly the KreselleKey. So that's pretty much what that is for. My biggest worry this game, though, is like a Rock Polish Tyrantrum or a Dragon Dance Tyrantrum. With this team, that is one of my biggest worries. However, I do not think Tyrantrum has that good of a matchup against me. Mimikyu, I think I've handled it pretty well in my building. Having 2 Shadow Sneak immunities along with 2 Shadow Sneak weaknesses, I know exactly what he's going to go for. I can go directly into either one of them, deal with it that way. With Mimikyu also, he can do one of 2 things. I do not know which Paul will do, but I know he will do something. And by something, I mean one of these 2 spreads. He will either be Adamant 236 in speed with very little HP, ensuring that Iron Head kills him from my Tauros, or he will be Jolly 136 in speed with the rest in HP and max attack. And what that will do is that'll allow him to take Iron Head a lot better. It does about 90% maximum. So I need to ensure that I can get off a little bit of chip damage off on it to scout its spread. However, I will tell you, if I'm expecting Paul to do what Paul does, he's going to bring Swords Dance Adamant. I know how Paul builds. I know how he builds. I just have this feeling he's going to bring Swords Dance Adamant Mimikyu, because it can beat Scolipede, it can beat my Mew, it can beat my Alolan Raichu, it can beat my Licky Licky if I'm not Scarfed, but I am Scarfed, and it can beat my Empoleon, it can beat my Mega Altaria. Like, if you look at my team versus SD Adamant Mimikyu, it's like Shadow Claw, Shadow Sneak, play rough or Shadow Claw, play rough, Shadow Claw, Shadow Sneak, play rough, Shadow Sneak, play rough. Like, it does a lot of damage to my team. So I'm fully expecting him to be the Adamant set, not the Jolly set. That could be a little scary, but this is definitely, I think, the best team that I could bring against Paul. I'm really excited for this Alolan Raichu set. I think it's very, very unique. I'm also really excited for this Mew set. I do want to give a big shout out to Joqq from the Token Minorities. He did help me out a little bit with this spread, or this set, because I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know if I wanted to bring Rock Polish Nasty Plot, or if I wanted to bring just straight up Nasty Plot, or I wanted to bring just straight up Rock Polish. But looking at his team, he doesn't have a Psychic immunity, so I can just go ahead and just double dance on him and do work. So I want to give a big shout out to Joqq from the Token Minorities for that one. But guys, with that is going to be the team. Hope you all did enjoy. If you did, make sure to leave a like down below for me. Also, make sure you go over to Polymax's channel. His link will be down in the description below. Amazingly close friend of mine. That's what we'll go with. He is a very good friend of mine, so make sure you guys go show him some love for me. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here. Thank you all again so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.